Paul Sculthorpe, you've won it 4 times. How special is Betfred Challenge Cup week, and then obviously leading up to the big day at Wembley?
Yeah, obviously it's a great week build up. You know, everything, all the preparation. You know, the suit fittings, just all the excitement, really, the buzz around obviously the town, and you know, looking forward to everybody going down to Wembley. So and it's an iconic competition, isn't it? It's what we've all grown up with. You know, the Challenge Cup, and you know, a lot of history, a lot of great players of iconic moments within the game, and something big part of the rugby league calendar.
And as I say, you've won it 4 times. 3 of those were away from Wembley, but your last ever game, of course, 2008 at the new Wembley. Just talk us through some of your memories of that day.
Yeah, not very good ones, to be honest. Other than obviously winning the Challenge Cup against Hull. It wasn't a good day for me. I'd gone into it. I'd already done damage to my shoulder. I was playing pretty much through the rest of that year, and then I'm retiring at the end of the year. But unfortunately, put myself in the wrong position and dislocated my shoulder. But the preparation, the build up, and everything was just as I said. It was a special week. We had a great side, and thankfully we got the win, as you said. But that was the end of my career.
And then, of course, you won at a few other venues. The one that always seems to, the pictures that you see and the memories you hear of, when you won it at Twickenham with a special group of players that year, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2006 was a real special year. We did the treble. We won everything. It was a great side. You look at some of the players involved in that, and you'd wonder how you get them through the payroll these days. With we had 17 marquee players, in that starting lineup, and just a special one. I mean, one that stands out for me was also 2004. That was my first one as captain. Lifting the Challenge Cup and just beating the old enemy at Wigan on probably the best stadium that I've played at. The Millennium Stadium at Cardiff.
Everyone will say that they'll talk about the week and going down to London and it all being a little bit different. How much of a challenge is just contending with all those new stuff, particularly for the lads who are doing it for the first time? All these new things that they perhaps don't normally contend with. How difficult can that be?
Yeah, I mean, because obviously these days as well, you don't really spend a lot of time away from home. In preparation for games, it's like people play Catalan now. Obviously we don't play London, so we don't travel. So teams are not together in hotels. Catalan is usually a there and back in a day. So for a lot of these players, the build up could be a lot different. But it's just handling obviously them nerves as well of what the big occasion brings, and playing at Wembley, which a lot of them, it's going to be their first time. I think there's only 2 players in there in both sides that have actually played in a Challenge Cup final. I think James Roby won a Challenge Cup. James Roby for Saints and Liam Watts for Castelford. So it's going to be a big occasion, and it's who handles that pressure best. Wins the game.
It seems a bit crazy, doesn't it, having this conversation, talking about you playing in that 2008 final, to think that that's the last time that St. Helens won it.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, really, because obviously I can relate it to when I last played, and you think a club like St. Helens to not win in a Challenge Cup in 13 years. I think we obviously made the final against Warrington in 2019. Waiting to it clear favourites, and as it proved, didn't perform on the day, and Warrington took the spoils. And it's been a long time coming, hasn't it? And hopefully, this weekend we can put an end to that dry run.
Do you think there's something psychological in that in the heads of the St. Helens players, or is it just 13 years of bad luck and missed opportunities?
Yeah, I think missed opportunities. I think we've gone into games, certainly gone into semi-finals. Remember the one against Catalan the year before, clear favourites, and I think after 20 minutes the game was pretty much done. Just didn't turn up, didn't perform, and that's the case. And but a lot of the players, certainly from the Saints side, have played in big games now. They've got a lot of international experience, and I don't think the occasion will get to them. But it's still a matter of turning up. And Castleford on the day, they've proven that they're capable of anything. They've got a lot of quality players in that side. So it's just a matter of turning up and performing.
What do you make of Cass in this strangest of seasons? Because we haven't seen them at their best for quite some time now. Obviously, a bad result against Salford at the weekend, but albeit with a reserve grade team out with this final in mind. In some respects, do you feel that's almost dangerous for St. Helens because they're almost going into a little bit of the unknown here, aren't they?
Yeah, I think it is. It probably is because, like you say, you don't know which Castleford you're going to get. They've proven on their day. With some of their performances. Take the Leeds game for example. Where they can blow teams away. They've always been quite an expansive team. I'm looking forward to the game because I think it's two teams that love to throw the ball about, love to express themselves and play rugby. And it's which Castleford side you're going to get. I don't think we can take into account last weekend. I think there's been so many changes in that squad. Rightly so, because this is Castleford's biggest game of the year, and they're going to save players to make sure that they're fully ready and raring come Saturday afternoon.
It's glorious sunshine in Salford on this Wednesday morning. It's meant to be an absolute belter of a day in the forecast for Saturday as well in London. That plays into Cass's hands a little bit, doesn't it? Because they need a game of rugby league to break out. They don't want this to turn into an arm wrestle and a scrap.
Yeah, I think so. I think if it suits either team not to get into that arm wrestle, it suits Cass. Their biggest chance of scoring points and breaking down St. Helens. Whereas Saints, I think, have got a bit more steel in the middle. But it's going to be a glorious day, isn't it? And just a perfect day for a cup final. I take you back to that 2004 one, and not only did we win that day, beat Wigan, but it was just such a glorious day. It was in the 30s, and it just makes everybody happier, doesn't it? And be able to see some skillful rugby, in great conditions.
One of the big battles, of course, it looks like, two of rugby league's Benjamin Button characters, James Roby, Paul McShane, who just seem to keep getting better with age. Whichever pack can get their 9 on the front foot is going to have a big say in this game, aren't they?
Yes, definitely. Two key figures for both teams, especially Paul McShane for Castleford. And a lot of what they do comes from him at 9. And agree, for them two players to have the influence that they can, they've got to be on the back of a good pack going forward. James Roby just continues where he's always done. He's outstanding, isn't he? And if the likes of Alex Walmsley that can get on the front foot and give James Roby the opportunity to jump out a dummy half, he can cause Castleford a lot of problems. So yeah, two key figures, but they do need the packs to play on the back of.
But barring any kind of injury problems and such with any kind of COVID issues, that Saints team looks like it almost picks itself these days, doesn't it? And it is so strong from 1 to 17.
Yeah, it does. It's kind of been quite lucky with keeping that continuous 17 that group of players, and as you say, it pretty much picks itself, barring any COVID relation issues. And I think I know the team got through the last game pretty scar-free, against Wakefield. Just disappointing. Sione Matautia is going to miss through suspension. The opportunity to play against his brother as well, Peter, obviously, who's turning out for Cass.
You, of course, were one of the last people to play against a brother in a cup final. What was that like?
Yeah, fantastic for the family, obviously, to have the two of us. Obviously, 2004, Danny playing for Wigan, and obviously myself at St. Helens, to play against each other on what is for me one of the biggest stages in rugby league calendar. And it was special, and even more so when you can get the win and rub it in.
Whilst the Saints team almost picks itself, it is quite a different story with Cass, isn't it? And I've been thinking about this quite a bit. When you look at their pivots, they're almost trying to fit too many players into not enough positions, aren't they? In terms of who you're bringing in, with Evans and O'Brien and Richardson in there as well. And how do you play this from a Castleford perspective if you were Darryl Powell?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing is obviously they've got to try and win that battle down the middle first and get likes of McShane on the front foot. Jacob Truman's a big key player for them. He's an exceptional talent, but he's got to be in the game. He's got to be involved as much as he can. I think he's a key player. And as you say, it's how you fit the likes of Evans and O'Brien in as well. So you look at that and you think, Castleford's way of getting all them players is by using the ball, is a lot of expansion. Michael Shenton on that left edge, who's always been dangerous. And I think Castleford if the conditions are what they're meant to be as well, it's perfect conditions for playing that expansion. But Saints have got a strong defence, and you've got to punch holes in that defence before you start going sideways.
Darryl Powell, of course, his last season, there's going to be a lot of talk about Cass sending him off with a major trophy. Obviously, they won the League of Leaders Shield in 2017. People don't really seem to talk about that, which is bizarre because I think it's the hardest one to win. But obviously, this is their third major final under him. He's done incredible things at the club, really, when you look across his tenure. Is this going to be the one, do you think, where the Cass players just find that extra few percent for their coach?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because you normally get that at the back end of the year. Obviously, when they go in and usually a grand final when they're talking about a coach is leaving. But I think it's strange times. Obviously, Darryl already been announced early in the year that he was going to Warrington. So I don't know whether there'll be that that passion there like there is at the back end of the year, like we're seeing at Wigan with Sean Wayne leaving in the grand final. I think it's a funny situation when it's in the middle of the season. And I think there's probably people outside the Castelford camp will make more of that than they will this time of year. But no doubt that Cass will be desperate to send Darryl off with a Challenge Cup win. I think they've had a great reign under Darryl, and been involved, as you say, in 3 finals, and I think unfortunately not managed to pick the silverware up. But this is one that I think they'd love to leave him with. And but the Castleford really do need to turn on an A+ game, I think, to have any chance.
It was interesting listening to Christian Wolff this week in his press conference, hinting that this was almost the last chance to win a Challenge Cup for this group. We know there's players moving on. Lachlan Coote probably the most surprising and high profile of those. But would it be a real disaster for this team if they didn't win a Challenge Cup, considering how dominant they have been in the last 3 years?
Yeah, I think so. I think it'd be a disaster anyway if Saints didn't win this one. I think they are clear favourites. I think they're by far the strongest team in Super League. I think recent history has proven that, to back up 2 years in the in the Super League competition, and now the opportunity to stop that 13-year rot of no Challenge Cup wins, I think they won't get a better opportunity. So I think they've got to push through and take this one.
Well, lastly, Scully, I'm not going to ask you to make a prediction because I think we know which way you'd go, and I think we have touched on this a little bit, but just let me know, where do you think this game is going to be won and lost? What do you think the decisive area of this Challenge Cup final might be?
I think it's about handling the pressure. I think it's massive on skill level. It's about controlling the ball. It's about getting on top first. But as you said, we've spoke about 2 teams who love to play expansive rugby and throw the ball about. But before you do that, you've got to get your pack going forward. You've got to win that field position. Great kicking games. Wembley's quite a fast track as well, and no doubt going to be a hard, dry, sunny pitch as well. So it's about winning that arm wrestle early and then converting that into points. And I think both teams are capable of doing it. For me, Saints are the stronger, through the middle and being able to do that. But it should be a great game anyway. Really looking forward to it.
When do you think the nerves will start kicking in for you?
For me, I don't really get nervous now. I wasn't really a nervous player, But the great thing is when you're a player, you're in control. You can change things. But unfortunately, being a fan now and being involved with the club, you've no input on the game. So I'm just going to sit back and enjoy it, and hopefully, obviously, with my Saints hat on. I think if Saints turn in a performance, I think they win the game.